connectivity, improve access to socio-economic services, and support the movement of goods and people within and across regions. 3, government stepped up maintenance of national roads network. Over 7,400 kilometers of paved and 14,000 kilometers of unpaved roads were maintained through labor-based contracts, and a further 1,282 kilometers of paved and 3,146 kilometers of unpaved roads were looked after under routine mechanized maintenance. 4, government opened 124 kilometers, graded 175 kilometers, and graveled 64 kilometers of district and community access roads using the force account. 5, local governments maintained 2,700 kilometers of district and community access roads, upgraded and maintained 820 kilometers of city and municipal roads, and rehabilitated 120 kilometers of district roads. Under development of Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, government has embarked on revamping road infrastructure in Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area. The target is to upgrade over 600 kilometers in the next 5 years and to maintain all major existing roads. To date, 297 kilometers of roads have been paved, several roads have been rehabilitated and maintained, and 8 major road junctions signaled to improve traffic flow and road safety. Mr. Speaker, Kampala made history as the first city in Africa to be inducted into the international network of 3 cities in the world. Government will continue building on this heritage and global recognition. In this regard, government has prioritized implementation of a cleanup exercise involving restoration of wetlands and green spaces, enforcing integrated physical planning, including pedestrian-friendly roads, enforcing trade order, and restrictions on all forms of pollution, especially noise. I now come to water transport. Mr. Speaker, government has constructed, maintained, and operated 15 ferries to connect island communities to markets and services. The Buyende Kagwara Kabiramaido ferry has commenced operations. 2 ferries on Lake Bunyonyi in Kabale are under construction and are expected to begin service by June 2027. Preliminary works for the Bukasa Inland Port are nearly complete, paving the way for commencement of the actual construction. On railway transport, Mr. Speaker, government has commenced construction of the 273-kilometer standard gauge railway from Maraba to Kampala. Upon completion, container transport costs from Mombasa to Kampala are projected to fall from about $3,500 to roughly $1,600, and transit time from 5 days to 1 day. Rehabilitation of the Tororo Guru meter gauge railway reached 66% completion, while the Kampala Mukono section has been complete. On air transport, Mr. Speaker, with regard to air transport, physical works for Kabalega International Airport are complete. Government is now finalizing operational requirements to get the airport ready for first oil and AFCON 2027. Construction of Kidepo International Airport is underway to boost tourism in Karamoja. Phase 1 of Entebbe International Airport's rehabilitation and expansion is complete, with a new passenger terminal and expanded cargo facility. The passenger terminal capacity has risen from 2.0 million to 3.5 million travelers per year. 12 regional aerodromes have been maintained to support regional connectivity for tourism and trade. Government is strengthening Uganda Airlines as critical transport infrastructure to enhance international connectivity for tourism, trade, investment, and the diaspora. In order to enhance operational efficiency, expand and modernize the fleet, government is further capitalizing the airline by acquiring 8 additional new passenger aircrafts. The financial year 2026-2027 priorities for transport are the following. Mr. Speaker, Uganda shillings 8.79 trillion has been allocated next financial year for transport infrastructure development, and the priority areas will include: number 1, construction of the Maraba-Kampala standard gauge railway and completion of rehabilitation of the meter gauge railway. Number 2, construction, upgrade and maintenance of national, city, district, urban and community access roads. Number 3, construction and maintenance of strategic bridges. 4, development of water transport systems such as ferries and ports. 5, operationalization of Kabalega International Airport and continued upgrade of regional aerodromes. And 6, expansion of the Uganda Airlines. I now come to the energy development. Mr. Speaker, sir, reliable and affordable energy is essential for industrialization and socio-economic transformation. Government continues to invest heavily in electricity generation, transmission, and distribution infrastructure. In financial year 2025-2026, government achieved the following in energy development. 1, continued development of hydro, solar, and other energy projects, alongside preparatory work for future nuclear investments. Installed generation capacity now stands at 2,098 megawatts. And the government's medium to long-term target is 52,482 megawatts to support industrialization, urbanization, and economic growth. 2, continued expansion of energy transmission and distribution infrastructure. Completed and continued construction of multiple lines, including the Kore-Guru-Nebi-Arua line, 132 kV, the Kampala Metropolitan Transmission Line, 132 kV, including 2 associated mobile substations, Mirama, Kabale, 132 kV, Karuma Tororo, 400 kV, Tororo Resource 400 kV, Mutundo Entebbe 132 kV, and Lira Guru Agago 132 kV. Good progress has also been made on substations serving industrial parks in Mbale, Kapeka, and the Kabalega Petrochemical Industrial Park. 3. The share of households in rural areas connected to grid electricity has nearly doubled in the 3 years, from 6.8% in financial year 2021-22 to 11.4% in financial year 2024-2025. 4. Through Uganda Energy Credit Capitalization Company, government commenced construction of 4 small mini hydro power sites expected to generate 5 megawatts of electricity. These sites will be completed in March 2027 and will provide reliable power to very hard to reach and remote areas. Further, under the Electricity Access Scale-Up Project, 419,592 off-grid solar connections have been made countrywide. Financial year 2026-2027 priorities for the energy sector are the following. Mr. Speaker, government has allocated Uganda shillings 2.07 trillion to energy development, and the priority interventions include: 1. Expansion of generation capacity by commencing the 380 megawatt Kiba hydroelectricity plant, a floating solar plant at Isimba, and 500 megawatts of utility scale solar in the Elgon and Acholi regions. 2. Preparatory work for nuclear energy generation at Buyende. 3. Expansion of transmission and associated substation infrastructure. 4. Rural electrification. And 5. Industrial power connections. I now come to investing in the people. Mr. Speaker, economic transformation is ultimately about people. A healthy, educated, skilled, and productive population is indispensable for sustained growth and shared prosperity. That is why government continues to allocate a large share of the discretionary budget to human capital development, i.e. health, education, water and sanitation, and social protection. During financial year 2025-2026, the following milestones were achieved. Under health, Mr. Speaker, government sustained its policy of progressively increasing investment in essential medicines and health supplies. Accordingly, funding through the national medical stores was increased by Uganda shillings 145.33 billion to Uganda shillings 862.93 billion in financial year 2025-2026. Government will continue to increase domestic financing for essential health commodities with the aim of substantially reducing reliance on donor support. This will guarantee uninterrupted access to essential medicines like antiretroviral medicines, anti-malarial drugs, vaccines, immunization supplies, laboratory commodities, and anti-tuberculosis medicines. Government continued to modernize healthcare infrastructure and equipment. During the year, 17 regional referral hospitals and 25 general hospitals were equipped with neonatal intensive care units, In addition, 14 regional referral hospitals received CT scan machines. Construction and upgrading of 31 health facilities across Karamoja is ongoing. Government also completed high-capacity medical waste and incinerators in Fort Portal, Guru, Mbarara, KCCA, and Lira. Busorwe, Gombe, Kaworo hospitals were also rehabilitated. Right Honorable Speaker, government continued to promote preventive health care through immunization, disease prevention, and nutrition programs. Immunization coverage for children under 1 year reached 94%, while first dose measles, rubella coverage reached 93%. Government also conducted nationwide campaigns against malaria, HIV, AIDS, Ebola, cholera, and yellow fever, and promoted nutrition education for children, pregnant women, the elderly, and other vulnerable groups. Government also continued to expand specialized health care services in oncology, cardiology, and other fields, reducing the need for treatment abroad. The Uganda Heart Institute conducted 634 cardiac interventions, including open heart, closed heart, vascular, and catheterization procedures. In April 2026, the Uganda Cancer Institute successfully performed the country's first bone marrow transplant. Mr. Speaker, specialized health care services will be further strengthened by ongoing investments. The 250-bed capacity cardiac hospital in Naguru, Kampala is 44% complete and expected to be completed by June 2027. The International Specialized Hospital of Uganda at Lubowa is 75% complete and will be completed in December 2027. Mr. Speaker, I wish to repeat this one. The International Specialized Hospital of Uganda at Lubowa is 75% complete and will be completed in December 2027. The first phase of the Nuclear Medicine Center for the cancer treatment is 95% complete, with radiotherapy and advanced molecular imaging services. Phase 2 of the PET Center is 10% complete. Regional cancer centers in Mbarara, Arua, and Mbale are under construction, while the Guru Center is fully operational. Other achievements in the health sector include: 1. Expansion of the national e-health digital infrastructure to support telemedicine, health information management, medicine tracking, and monitoring of health workers' performance. Number 2, strengthening the national ambulance and emergency care system through the deployment of additional ambulances. Mr. Speaker, the priorities under the health sector for financial year 2026-2027 are the following. Government has allocated Uganda shillings 5.23 trillion for the health sector in financial year 2026-2027. The funding will focus on: number 1, maternal and child health; 2, nutrition improvement; 3, expanded immunization; 4, prevention and treatment of non-communicable diseases; 5, provision of essential medicines; 6, strengthening specialized healthcare services. 7, improving emergency response systems. 8, exploring feasible pathways towards universal health coverage. I now come to water and sanitation. Mr. Speaker, access to clean and safe water remains fundamental to public health, human dignity, and economic productivity. Government has therefore continued investing heavily in water supply and sanitation infrastructure across the country. Access to improved water sources continues to expand, with 71% of households now having access. Coverage stands at 68% in rural areas and 74.5% in urban areas. Mr. Speaker, during financial year 2025-2026, safe water access was extended to 553 villages. Over 200 large solar-powered water and sanitation systems, several public sanitation facilities, and fecal sludge treatment plants were completed in several districts. In addition, a number of urban water systems were expanded. Government has allocated Uganda shillings 1.013 trillion in financial year 2026-2027 to further expand access to safe water and sanitation services across the country. The objective is to ensure universal access to safe water and sanitation services. I now come to education, skills, and sports. Mr. Speaker, education remains the most powerful instrument for social mobility and long-term economic transformation. During the financial year 2025-2026, the following milestones have been achieved in the education sector. 1, in order to expand access to education, government continued financing universal primary education UPE and universal secondary education USE. Approximately 9.52 million learners benefited from UPE, while about 995,116 learners benefited from universal secondary education and universal post-O-level education and training. 2, government completed construction of 90 additional seed secondary schools, expanded 54 existing schools, and operationalized 259 seed schools. 3, in preparation for AFCON 2027, Hoima Stadium has been completed. Upgrades to Nambole Stadium are progressing well, and other required tournament facilities remain on schedule. Further construction of Akibwa Stadium is on schedule. Number 4, government has intensified investment in STEM, technical and vocational education, industry-linked skills development, and digital literacy. In financial year 2026-2027, priorities for education, skills, and sports, Mr. Speaker, are the following. Next year, government has allocated Uganda shillings 6.66 trillion to further improve education of Ugandans. Priorities will include: number 1, access to quality UPE and USE. Number 2, strengthening STEM and vocational education. 3, improving teacher welfare and training with emphasis on pre-primary teachers. 4, curriculum reform. 5, strengthening public universities and research institutions. And 6, completing critical sports infrastructure for AFCON 2027. Mr. Speaker, beginning financial year 2027, an additional Uganda shillings 568.65 billion has been allocated to enhance salaries for primary school teachers and arts teachers in secondary schools and BTVET institutions. I now come to social protection and inclusive development. Mr. Speaker, the NRM government has over the years ensured economic growth is inclusive. Government continues implementing targeted programs aimed at supporting vulnerable groups and expanding economic participation. The following are some of the achievements. 1, government has continued to support older persons through the Social Assistance Grant for Empowerment SAGE, which has cumulatively reached 489,673 beneficiaries, with a total of Uganda shillings 836.1 billion. In addition, the Special Enterprise Grant for Older Persons has supported 17,245 older persons with approximately Uganda shillings 13 billion. Number 2, under the National Special Grant for Persons with Disabilities, 72,772 beneficiaries have received Uganda shillings 48.5 billion across 171 local governments. 3, the Youth Livelihood Program has financed 24,859 projects benefiting 275,034 youth at Uganda shillings 195.4 billion, while 57,849 youth have benefited from the Youth Venture Capital Fund. 4, the GROW project has extended Uganda shillings 111.1 billion in loans to 4,889 beneficiaries, while the Women Entrepreneurship Program WEP has cumulatively supported 244,805 women with Uganda shillings 153.5 billion. And 5, government has continued to negotiate bilateral labor agreements to protect workers' rights, promote decent work, and expand overseas employment opportunities for skilled Ugandans. Financial year 2026-2027 priorities for social protection. Mr. Speaker, sir, next financial year, government has allocated Uganda shillings 173.55 billion for social protection, which will focus on 1, expanding economic empowerment programs, 2, strengthening labor standards, 3, supporting youth employment initiatives, 4, promoting women's economic participation, 5, enhancing social protection systems, and 6, establishing a robust labor market information system. Mr. Speaker, overall, Uganda shillings 13.56 trillion has been allocated next financial year to invest directly in the people of Uganda through health, education, social protection, and water and sanitation. This investment reflects government's conviction that people are Uganda's greatest asset. Enabler 4, industrial development and manufacturing. Mr. Speaker, nations achieve prosperity not by exporting raw materials, but by transforming them into high-value products. For this reason, government places high priority on industrial development, manufacturing, and value addition. Mr. Speaker, besides government investment in manufacturing under the ATMs already highlighted, the following milestones have been achieved in this financial year. 1, government continued investing in the development of industrial parks. The aim is to lower investors' establishment and operating costs and drive industrial growth. As a result, the number of formal factories has cumulatively risen from 10,437, of which 6 have cumulatively risen to 10,437, of which 690 are located within industrial parks. 2, government continued capitalizing Uganda Development Corporation to de-risk private investment in critical areas. UDC's capital investment have surpassed Uganda shillings 1.5 trillion with co-investments across key value chains, including textiles, i.e. fine spinners, agro-processing, i.e. Beans Car Enterprises Limited, and Bukona Agro-Processing, and Pharmaceuticals, East African Medical Vitals Sanga, Vetchem Limited, and Alphasan Uganda Limited. 3, government through UDC also invested in the local construction sector. UDC invested in Abubakar Technical Services, the Ugandan firm delivering key national roads, including Busunju Chiboga Hoima, 145 kilometers, and Matugasemuto Kapeka, 41 kilometers, among others. UDC also invested in ETAT's construction company, currently constructing the Bujiri Namutumba Road, 24 kilometers, and the Buwenge Kaliro Road, 48 kilometers, among others. 4, government completed the special economic zone at Entebbe International Airport to promote high-value exports. Several firms, particularly in the fresh produce exports and light manufacturing, are setting up operations. 5, continued expansion of presidential zonal hubs, which are tackling youth unemployment by providing practical industrial and vocational skills. To date, 82,790 youth have been trained, and the number of hubs has grown to 28 nationwide. Mr. President, I thank you so much for this initiative. Financial year 2026-2027 priorities for manufacturing and industrial development. Mr. Speaker, government has allocated Uganda shillings 1.03 trillion to the manufacturing program for financial year 2026-2027. Priority interventions include: 1, additional capitalization of UDC to drive industrial development; 2, industrial infrastructure development, particularly industrial parks, including new fully serviced plug and play parks; 3, value addition to agricultural materials and minerals; 4, supporting market access for Ugandan manufactured products; 5, strengthening the functionality of special economic zones; and 6, industrial research, including the establishment of regional industrial incubation hubs. Under market access for wealth creators, Mr. Speaker, wealth creators need access to both domestic and export markets. Expanding the domestic market requires higher household incomes and increased purchasing power to stimulate demand for locally produced goods and services. Export growth, on the other hand, requires deeper regional integration to access larger markets within the East African Community, COMESA, and the African Continental Free Trade Area. These opportunities are complemented by preferential and duty-free market access arrangements negotiated with key partners, including the European Union, the United Kingdom, Russia, Serbia, and the countries in the Middle East. To expand both domestic and export markets, government will continue investing in standards, quality assurance, certification, and market intelligence to enhance the competitiveness of Ugandan products and services. To this end, government has so far implemented the following. Number one, strengthen certification services to enhance efficiency. Additional personnel have been recruited and trained to increase capacity of the Uganda National Bureau of Standards to undertake certification, surveillance, and enforcement of standards. Following automation, the turnaround time for import inspection reduced from 3 weeks to 4 hours. Production testing reduced from 30 days to 14 days. And product certification reduced from 180 days to 45 days. 2, decentralization and modernized certification services to enhance access. Construction and equipping of engineering testing laboratories is ongoing and expected to be completed by September 2026. Government also commenced construction of regional laboratories in Mbale, Gulu, and Mbarara. 3, developed 450 standards for products and services and issued permits to 4,500 products. 4, trained 750 micro, small, and medium enterprises in value addition and processing and certified 750 products. 5, completed construction and equipping of an international accredited national meteorology laboratory at Uganda National Bureau of Standards. The laboratory is being used to calibrate equipment used in the National Food Safety Laboratory and other agro-food processing laboratories and industries. 6, commenced operations of the Petroleum Laboratory in January 2026. Over 40 product samples of petroleum products have since been tested. Mr. Speaker, priority interventions for financial year 2026-27 include: 1, development of quality assurance infrastructure. The Euro 163.56 million enhancement agricultural production, quality and standards for market access project. 2, strengthening the capacity for development of standards and certification of products and services. 3, completing construction and equipping of the engineering laboratory and continuing construction of regional laboratories. And 4, accrediting private laboratories to increase access. I now come to environmental protection and disaster management. Mr. Speaker, sustainable management and the use of natural resources, land, water, and environment, as well as effective response to climate change, are essential for boosting productivity and value addition. To cushion Ugandans and our economy from climate shocks, government invested Uganda shillings 9.6 billion this financial year in early warning systems, hazard mitigation, and emergency relief items for affected households. Government also invested heavily in water for production facilities to protect our farmers during drought. Mr. Speaker, sir, in order to protect and restore wetlands, government undertook the demarcation of 104 kilometers of wetland boundaries and restored 15,000 hectares of degraded wetlands. A total of 8,319 hectares of graded Central Forest reserves were demarcated alongside 404 kilometers of forest boundaries to enhance the protection and management of forest resources. Mr. Speaker, the safeguard of our environment and adapt to climate change, government has, Mr. Speaker, to safeguard our environment and adapt to climate change, government has allocated Uganda shillings 494.08 billion next financial year. These funds will protect 1.26 million hectares of forest reserves and wetlands, restore 10,000 hectares of degraded wetlands and demarcate critical river banks and lake shores, particularly along the Nile. We will also upgrade meteorological services and early warning systems to deliver accurate forecasts for agriculture, aviation, and climate monitoring. In addition, Uganda shillings 361.88 billion has been allocated to the contingency fund to strengthen our national disaster response next financial year. I now come to administration of justice. Mr. Speaker, under the administration of justice program, the following achievements were recorded. 1, expanded access to justice with a proportion of districts having complete justice service points rising from 79% in financial year 2020-2021 to 89%. This was achieved by operationalizing new high court circuits now at 29 and establishing 10 additional magistrates courts now totaling 268, including in the island communities. 2, decentralization of the Court of Appeal is underway in Mbarara and Guru to improve regional access to appellate justice. 3, judicial capacity has been strengthened with the appointment of additional justices of the Court of Appeal, now 20, and High Court, now 88, along with more magistrates to reduce case backlog and serve high demand areas. 4, resolution of commercial disputes has improved. Between 2023 and 2025, the judiciary disposed of 38,102 commercial and land cases worth Uganda shillings 14.47 trillion, unlocking capital and boosting economic activity and investment. Promotion of alternative dispute resolution has been scaled up, resolving over 8,000 cases in financial year 2025-2026. Alongside nearly 25,000 small claims matters worth Uganda shillings 19.5 billion. 6, mobile courts have been deployed to hard-to-reach and refugee hosting areas, bringing hearings into communities to accelerate case resolution and improved access to justice. In financial year 2026-2027, priorities for administration of justice, Mr. Speaker, are the following. Uganda shillings 665.55 billion has been allocated under this program for financial year 2026-2027 to number 1, expand access to justice and further decentralize appellate services. 2, recruit and deploy judicial officers. 3, reduce case backlog through alternative dispute resolution and mobile courts. 4, digitize courts, case management and e-filing. 5, strengthen prosecution, forensic services and anti-corruption efforts. And 6, upgrade court infrastructure and circuit operations. I now come to legislation and oversight. Mr. Speaker, sir, during financial year 2025-2026, the 11th Parliament held 34 sittings, passed 18 bills, and concluded one petition, passed 29 resolutions, and adopted 22 reports. Most importantly, the turnaround time for enacting legislation has reduced significantly, and I want to congratulate the 11th Parliament upon this achievement. Next financial year, government has allocated Uganda shillings 1.23 trillion to enable Parliament to fulfill its constitutional mandate of legislation, appropriation, oversight, and effective representation. I now come to key implementation reforms. Mr. Speaker, achieving tenfold growth requires more than investment. It requires discipline, it requires accountability, it requires efficiency, and it requires integrity. Government will therefore undertake a comprehensive implementation reform agenda aimed at eliminating waste, corruption, delays, and inefficiency. In this regard, government is implementing a cleanup. This means enforcement of the laws and regulations to ensure institutional effectiveness, leading to improved service delivery and public trust. The specific priorities in the cleanup include: 1, enforcement of budget discipline and accountability. In financial year 2026-2027, going forward, as part of the performance contracts, all accounting officers will sign a budget discipline and accountability charter, which provides for sanctions against breaches of accountability rules in planning, budgeting, and execution of public resources. 2, combating corruption through procurement reforms, digitization, strengthening internal controls and audits, and ensuring transparency to facilitate accountability. 3, continued enforcement of trade order and traffic discipline to promote safe, orderly, and livable cities and urban centers and improve the safety of public transport. 4, strengthening governance, oversight, and performance of state-owned enterprises. 5, strengthening allocative efficiency by prioritizing high-impact investments under the ATMs and the enablers, while eliminating wasteful expenditure. To this end, as guided by His Excellency the President, state-funded celebrations on public holidays will be suspended except functions on religious holidays. Going forward, public holidays will be observed without official ceremonies. 6, centralizing the management of counterpart funding under the Treasury to safeguard funding for priority projects. 7, implement the Contributory Public Service Pension Fund to attain fiscal sustainability of the management of pension liabilities for government workers. I now come to the financing of the budget for financial year 2026-2027. The financing strategy for financial year 2026-2027. Mr. Speaker, the financing strategy for financial year 2026-2027 seeks to create additional fiscal space to finance government priorities while maintaining debt sustainability. This will be achieved through: number 1, strengthening tax administration and compliance. 2, introducing targeted tax policy measures to increase domestic revenue. 3, mobilizing concessional financing from development partners and international financial institutions. And 4, expanding alternative sources of financing, including public-private sector partnerships, venture capital, innovative instruments such as Sukuk, and listing of commercially viable public enterprises on the stock exchange. Resource envelope. Right Honorable Speaker, the total resource envelope for financial year 2026-2027 is 84,391,743,343,426 shillings. This is detailed as follows. 1. Domestic revenues, Uganda shillings 45.96 trillion, of which 40.16 trillion is tax revenue, 4.02 trillion is non-tax revenue, 1.44 trillion is petroleum revenue, and 339.8 billion is local government revenue. 2. Domestic borrowing, Uganda shillings 11.97 trillion. 3. Domestic debt refinancing is Uganda shillings 13.97 trillion. External borrowing for general budget financing is Uganda shillings 1.22 trillion. And external financing for projects is Uganda shillings 11.27 trillion. Expenditure allocations. Mr. Speaker, a summary of the allocations of the above resources is as follows. 1. Wages and salaries, Uganda shillings 9.709 trillion. 2. Non-wage recurrent expenditure, Uganda shillings 33.276 trillion, which also includes operational funds for institutions, financing for all wealth creation funds, financing for science and technology investments, grants for education and health, medicines, maintenance of infrastructure, and interest payments, among others. 3. Development expenditure, Uganda shillings 22.054 trillion. 4. Domestic debt refinancing, 13.967 trillion. 5. Debt amortization, Uganda shillings 4.181 trillion. 6. Domestic debt repayment to Bank of Uganda, Uganda shillings 547 billion. 7. Domestic arrears, Uganda shillings 317 billion. And 8. Local government expenditure from own revenue, Uganda shillings 339.8 billion. Mr. Speaker, details of the resource envelope and expenditure allocations by vote for financial year 2026-2027 are provided in annexes 1 and 2, respectively, of this speech. The budget for financial year 2026-2027, totaling to 84.39 trillion, has therefore increased by Uganda shillings 2.78 trillion from the revised budget of Uganda shillings 81.61 trillion for financial year 2025-2026. I now come to the tax measures for financial year 2026-2027. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me now highlight the key tax policy measures as approved by Parliament to support domestic revenue mobilization, investment, job creation, and economic growth. Under income tax, Mr. Speaker, Parliament approved the following income tax measures. 1. Extension of income tax exemption for Bujagali Energy Limited until 2032 to support affordable electricity tariffs at an estimated revenue cost of Uganda shillings 115 billion per annum. 2, increase in the pay-as-you-earn threshold from Uganda shillings 235,000 to Uganda shillings 335,000 per month to raise take-home pay for low-income workers at an estimated revenue cost of Uganda shillings 96 billion. 3, introduction of a 5% withholding tax on payment of interest to foreign lending institutions to ensure equitable taxation of interest income. 4, provision for individuals to file and pay rental income tax monthly to improve voluntary compliance and reduce tax arrears. 5, introduction of a tax holiday for developers of hotels and other ultra-luxury tourism facilities investing at least United States dollars 10 million for foreign investors and United States dollars 5 million for Ugandan investors. 6, equalization of tax treatment of Tier 4 financial institutions by allowing deductions for provisioning for bad debts, thereby reducing the cost of capital. Under value-added tax VAT, Mr. Speaker, Parliament approved the following VAT measures. 1, increase in the annual VAT threshold from Uganda shillings 150 million to Uganda shillings 300 million to ease compliance for small businesses and improve tax administration efficiency. This measure is projected to generate Uganda shillings 349 billion. 2, extension of VAT deferment to inputs used in iron ore processing to support mineral value addition and industrialization. Under excise duty, Mr. Speaker, Parliament approved the following excise duty measures. 1, increase in excise duty on diesel and petrol by Uganda shillings 200 per litre to generate Uganda shillings 450 billion in revenue. 2, increase in excise duties on selected products as follows. 1, alcoholic drinks like Uganda Waraji, Black Label, Cognat, and Amarula from Uganda shillings 1,700 to Uganda shillings 3,500 per litre to generate Uganda shillings 85 billion. 2, motorcycles at first registration from Uganda shillings 200,000 to Uganda shillings 500,000 to generate 26 billion. 3, single-use plastics from 2.5% or US dollars 70 per ton to 25% or US dollars 1,500 per ton to protect the environment and raise 10 billion. 4, cooking oil from Uganda shillings 200 to Uganda shillings 400 per litre to generate 25 billion. 5, cement from Uganda shillings 500 to Uganda shillings 750 per 50 kilograms per bag to generate 15 billion. And 6, sugar from Uganda shillings 100 to Uganda shillings 200 per kilogram to generate 25 billion. Introduction of excise duty on selected products as follows. 1, locally manufactured paints and varnishes at 3% or shillings 50 per liter or kilogram, whichever is higher, and imported paints and finishes at 10%, or Uganda shillings 2,000 per liter, whichever is higher, to generate 24 billion. And cooking fat at shillings 500 per liter or kilogram to generate 15 billion. On stamp duty, Mr. Speaker, a modest stamp duty has been introduced on the first registration and transfer of motor vehicles and motorcycles as follows. 1. Motorcycles, tricycles, and quadricycles, Uganda shillings 30,000. And 2. Any other motor vehicle, Uganda shillings 200,000. This will generate Uganda shillings 30 billion. Under the Tax Procedures Code Act, Mr. Speaker, Parliament approved the following tax relief measures. 1. Waiver of principal tax, penalty, and interest owed by a taxpayer to URA as at 30th June 2016. 2. Extension of the waiver of interest and penalties outstanding as at 30th June 2025, provided the principal tax is paid by 30th June 2027. On external trade, Mr. Speaker, Parliament approved an increase in environmental levy on imported used clothing from 15% to 30% of cost insurance and freight, CIF value, to support local manufacturing as well as local manufacturing and generate Uganda shillings 40 billion. Under lotteries and gaming, Mr. Speaker, Parliament approved increase of the tax for betting from 20% to 30% to harmonize taxation across gaming activities and generate Uganda shillings 24 billion. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, Uganda has become a land of opportunity and promise. Our economy has expanded to United States dollars 69 billion and is projected to grow at a double-digit rates driven by strong export performance, fast oil, and sustained wealth creation interventions. More importantly, this growth is increasingly translating into jobs, higher incomes, and better livelihoods for Ugandans. Investor confidence is rising, and the Ugandan diaspora is responding with increased remittances, investment, and active participation in our transformation. This budget aims to accelerate the attainment of the tenfold growth strategy. Government has allocated 99% of discretionary resources to the ATMs, i.e. agro-industrialization, tourism development, mineral-based industrialization, and science, technology, and innovation, and their key enablers. This budget prioritizes production, productivity, value addition, exports, and job creation. I invite the private sector to take full advantage of these opportunities to create wealth. The budget launches Uganda into the Chisanja no more sleep. The budget launches Uganda into the Chisanja no more sleep. Every Ugandan must actively engage in wealth creation, and every leader must be accountable for transforming households and communities. I want to repeat this. The budget launches Uganda into the Chisanja no more sleep. Every Ugandan must actively engage in wealth creation, and every leader must be accountable for transforming households and communities. The era of planning and debate is over. The era of implementation and results has begun. Our mission is clear: produce more, earn more, export more, and lift every household out of subsistence. I dedicate this budget to all wealth creators, especially the youth, whose energy, enterprise, and innovation will drive Uganda's transformation into a $5 billion economy. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you very, very much. I was wondering what you were drinking. I realized it was Uzima water. That gave you extra strength. Thank you very much. Make the Honorable Minister of Finance feel welcome and appreciated for the good work. Thank you, Honorable Minister, and by extension, His Excellency the President, for your clear delivery of the budget speech for the 2026-2027. As I'm made aware already that every member of Parliament has a text as the budget speech already. I urge you to take note of the government's budgetary priorities and related matters for the coming financial year. This will greatly inform our legislative oversight. Honorable Minister, thank you once again. I didn't know you could stand for that long.
Item number 7, remarks by His Excellency the President.
Honorable members and distinguished guests, I now take this singular honor to invite His Excellency the President to make his remarks, to take us through the budget speech. Your Excellency, we don't take your being here for granted. You're welcome. If you really want to stamp your feet, please do it. You have the permission of the chair, of the speaker. Thank you.
Her Excellency the Vice President, thank you so much. Her Excellency the Vice President, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, all the other political and state leaders, the religious leaders, the cultural leaders, members of the diplomatic corps, and all Ugandans. You have heard how the economy is performing well in spite of many problems in the world. The economy is performing well because Uganda is a very rich country. We've got a lot of potential. I saw one of the people who like writing things here and there, trying to say that we are targeting many areas of support. And I think he was trying to say that in South Korea, they concentrated on electronics and vehicles. But this is because South Korea didn't have much. They concentrated on on the little they had. With us, we have got what South Korea has and much more than that. So that's why I really don't listen so much to people who are running around panicking and so on. What is crucial is clarity here within Uganda about our potential. And the next most important thing is the African market, because when you produce, you must sell. And Africa is our sure market, and then we can add other markets. So this growth of 6.4% is really still modest. As you had next year, the growth will go to 10.2% because of the petroleum. As you heard, the performance is good by world standards. But in my view, it can be stronger. I have been, I'm from the communities of this place, indigenous communities here, and I've been following our developments for now 65 years, very closely. But what you need to know is that the aim of the NRM is not just growth, but transformation, socio-economic transformation. It is now, but before I talk about other things, I want us to solve this little problem of Ebola. Ebola is a very simple disease. It is not like Corona, as I said last night. Corona was very dangerous because it was spreading by breathing, which meant that if you saw the other time, I got Corona from you people in Chankwanzi. When I took a group photograph with you people without my mask, I got Corona. And I was here for 21 days sitting in the house. So Corona was really dangerous. It was spreading by breathing. But this Ebola spreads only by contact. And contact, close contact with the sweat, with the vomit if they vomit, with the blood, sexual, kissing, saliva. When the person is already sick, not showing symptoms of sickness. So therefore, really, it can be stopped. We just need to get rid of the carelessness. As I told you last night, we have had 19 cases so far. 14 from our brothers in Congo, 14 of them who came. 2 died. But those who came early, 4 of them have already recovered, the Congolese. 4 have already recovered and been discharged. The others are also recovering. They are not, our people think no more of them will die. And the 2 people who died were the Congolese from the 14. Now, the 5 Ugandans who were infected were the 4 health workers in one of the Kampala hospitals who handled the sick people without taking precautions. That's how 4 of them were infected. Carelessness. Now the 5th one, the Ugandan, was the taxi driver who drove the sick man from Hoima to here. I don't know whether he was greeting him or what, because just driving, if he sits in his chair and you sit in yours, why should he infect you? But fortunately, that driver has now recovered. So of the 4 who recovered, 4 of the 5 who recovered, 4 are Congolese, 1 is a Ugandan. And the 2 who died were all our Congolese brothers. So, and in the last 5 days, there's been no new case. This is very simple. I'm really, I don't like people who don't take life seriously. Because if you want to achieve what you want to achieve, you must be very serious with your life. And part of life is health. If you have got health, you can be able to do what you want to do. The other day I was here, I was seeing you shaking hands, hugging. These are members of parliament now, setting a bad example for all these Africans to get sick and then go in hospitals and so on, or die even. So please, I want to use this occasion to appeal to all the Ugandans to really finish this little problem of Ebola. Ebola is not a serious problem. Yes, there's no vaccine against Ebola yet. There's no direct medicine, but it is very easy to avoid, number 1. And number 2, even when you get infected, if you report early by controlling the temperature, by controlling the rehydrating you when you vomit and sweat, you can recover, like these people have recovered. So let's I appeal to all Ugandans to solve this little problem. Our brothers and sisters in Congo were coming through the borders. We stopped the buses and passenger vehicles. We only allow cargo, lorries and petrol tankers and so on. But people were coming through the border, the Panya. That's why we have discussed with the Congo government, and they have allowed us to work with them to open medical stations inside Congo near the border and announce, invite our Congolese people, anybody who is sick, come here, don't try to go to Uganda. Because when you go to Uganda, you waste time, you lose time, come here, this is nearer, and we are doing the same here as we are doing in Uganda. So we hope to finish this little problem of Ebola. But you need to set example, shaking hands, hugging. Then these pastors that they are blessing people, as if God is deaf. You can pray, God will hear you without touching people, the health workers. Many of them have died in Congo. That's what I hear. Many of these pastors. Some of the people who were the pastors blessing people. Now, coming to the budget, you need to get the strategic picture clearly. Strategic is when you plan to solve a problem from A to Z, the whole problem. Tactical is how you move from A to B. Now, the strategic aim of the NRM is to transform Ugandans. And I want to put it to you that it has taken a bit too long, although we have done well, but we could have done better. I was counting the years. It is now 32 years since the British came here. 132 years. The British came here in 1894 when they introduced their government here. Europe had started modernization. Capitalism had started. The money economy we are talking about had started. It is now 132 years from 1894. The British were trying to involve our grandparents and our great-grandparents into the money economy, and our parents. By 1962, only 9% of the homesteads were in the money economy. After almost 70 years, only 9% were in the money economy. 91% were still in the Okore Chidachonga. And I can testify because I'm from Ntungamo. Ntungamo, all of us were in the Okore Chidachonga. There was not a single one who was interested in money. I know houses one by one. Now, when we were in the bush, we studied this and we put out our document, 10 points program. And point number 5 was on this very point. Please build an economy which is independent, integrated, self-sustaining, meaning, implying, join the money economy. When we came, we started. But when I checked, in 2013, you can imagine, only 32% of the homesteads had joined the money economy. That's how we involved the UPDF. General Saleh, please come and beg these people to join the money economy. Take seedlings to them, free seedlings. Go and beg them. Kulala, they are asleep. Then Saleh did his best. Now recently we have added PDM. But with all this, it's now 67% of the homesteads who are in the money economy with some chibaro. 33% are still refusing to join the money economy. So this is the challenge. That's why we are saying, please, I'm really saying now, no more. We can't go on like this. And this is the work of the leaders. The leaders, the Banyankore say, Amushogomfu, no mwekoreire. The eyes of the dead body are the eyes of the one who is carrying the dead body. If the one who is carrying the dead body falls in the pit, the body also will fall in the pit. I saw this. I'm here. I'm not a story. I am alive. We started with those Banyankore who are very difficult, like the Karamojong, wild really, and we changed them by engaging them. So therefore, what we said the other time here, now that especially there's this money which is already there in the villages, all the leaders, certainly all the ministers, must take the lead in checking parish by parish what is happening to make sure that all these people stop kukongora, stop cheating us. We work, they don't work. They are there, but they want services. They want medicine, they want education, they want security, but they don't contribute. They're just sitting there in their homes and not engaging in the money economy. So although we have done very well, this very good performance the minister is talking about is by the 67% now. And all of them, not necessarily with the Chivaro. Some of them do without the Chivaro. But there are 33% who are wako pembeni, they are on the side. Suppose they were also part of this, would be much further. And as the minister Msasi told you, these people joining the money economy is crucial for two reasons. First of all, they get income. They get income, which means that their purchasing power goes up. Part of the problem of the purchasing power being low is because they don't have income. I am a wealth creator. I produce milk. But if you look at the figures, the production of milk is now as I was telling you the other day, 5.4 billion liters. But the internal consumption here is only 800 million liters. So that's why you hear we say there's too much milk in Uganda, we must export. But this is an artificial situation. Because with 48 million people, if each one was drinking the milk he's supposed to drink, 210 liters per year, so that you keep mouth in your teeth, you keep your bones, would need 9.6 billion liters of milk. What we are producing now would not be enough. So we are saying there is surplus milk because there is underconsumption. Why is there underconsumption? Because people have no money. They can't buy. The per capita consumption now of milk is now 60 liters. 1/3 of what a human body needs. But this has gone up because in 1986, it was 18 liters. You can imagine. That's why people have no teeth in their mouth, because there's no, the teeth have gone out because they don't have enough calcium. So therefore, this budget is no more Kongora. No more Kongora. No, Kongora is when you work and others just lean on the hoe in the village. No more Kulala. As you heard, a big budget, part of the budget is on infrastructure, on the roads, the railway, the pipeline, the airports, the waterways, electricity, irrigation. These are all, as the minister was saying, enablers to enable production to be done cost effectively, low cost of doing business in Uganda. Now, then the other challenge is on the service delivery. Again, that's where you, the leaders, must come in. Because medical care, Health Center 3, is in every sub-county. These sub-counties are in Uganda. They are not in Congo, they are not in Kenya, they are here. Why should there be no medicine in the health center? Maybe that medicine has been stolen, but the member of parliament doesn't know and doesn't follow up. And people are crying. Then you have the government officials, the Gombora chief, That's why the local government must be very, very strict. The Gombora chiefs, what are they doing? The GISO, there is somebody called the GISO. Have you heard of somebody called the GISO? He's also there. Drugs are being stolen, GISO is there. This is what I can no longer tolerate. The people of Uganda have given me authority a number of times now. I would have to, in the past I was a bit hesitant because I was saying maybe, especially for capital, there was no capital which was being given, but now the capital is there, PDM being stolen. During the elections, I was disturbing the former Minister of Local Government, Majezi, ringing him. I got to campaign in Maracha. Instead of campaigning, people are saying, they have stolen our PDM money. I go from campaign now to, it becomes like a PDM tour. In Maracha, complaining. Then I ring Majezi, please, Majezi, come. Maracha, people are complaining. I don't even know what happened there. Buko, I was in Buko. Or was it Kwen? I think it was Kwen. Same problem. He in Kampala, Kawempe, Buambo, where PDM money was being stolen. What is the member of parliament doing? Even the opposition ones, the ones of the NRM, I will struggle with them. But even the opposition ones, as long as you are getting allowance from parliament, and you don't go to check what is happening, I would ask you, the Attorney General, to see how I can deal with you also. Because if you don't want to monitor, don't take the allowances. Say so, go to the clerk, but then why should you get a salary in the first place? So, it seems I've got a legal basis where to demand performance from both the NRM and also the opposition. As long as you are getting money of the government, you must check. Because some of the opposition say they do it maliciously. Let the programs not work so that the NRM is blamed. That's not good enough for you. Because these programs are not for NRM, they are for your own people. So therefore, this service delivery, the drugs in the health centers, the justice, corruption, security, law and order, the infrastructure of leadership is there. Member of parliament for every constituency, LC3 for every sub-county, those are paid. The ones who are not paid, I don't blame them so much. The LC2 is not paid, so I don't have to blame him. But the LC3, the member of parliament, the councillor, these are all paid people. They must monitor, and then the government people must monitor. And local government must monitor them, the chief administrative officer. That's why I put in local government some people that people have been saying they are cantankerous, quarrelsome, like Barugahara and Namere. Namere is famous for quarreling, so you go and quarrel with them. Because when I went to Masaka to defend Namere, because I had to go there, say, "Oyo mwana wa mkoza batya, tanampisa." I said that, but if the lack of mpisa is Because in Uganda, if you say a thief, and you say you are a thief, torna mpisa, they say you should have kept quiet, the mpisa. This is how you are going to destroy the country. So please, both for economy, but also for service delivery, the leaders must do their work. Fortunately, we are going to get, apart from this money which Musas is getting from all those taxes, we are going to get also the oil money. The government will be getting an extra $1.5 billion per year as its share of the government money. Now I'll discuss with you how to save this money, first of all, to create a sovereign fund so that it can earn money, because that's how some countries like Norway have used their money very well. Instead of using it to buy perfumes and so on, and whiskers, they put their money somewhere and it is gaining interest. But we need to use some of it to do the crucial infrastructure, like the railway. We need to have the railway with Kenya and with Tanzania and with Congo and South Sudan and Rwanda, the ones near us, so that all heavy cargo moves from the road to the railway. Then the petroleum products move from the road to the pipeline. That will leave only the light cargo and passengers on the road. And the economics there, you had Musas telling you that it will bring down the cost of transport, of cargo, from 3,000 something to something much less. I'm saying all this so that we harmonize and don't have to waste time arguing, because sometimes we waste time. So we have done well, but we can do much better. Uganda is a very rich country. Now finally, I'll get time and talk about the environment and the trade order, where we had to remove some of our people from the roadsides and all that chaos which was here. I want to really you people to support this. Don't go on with the cheap politics of misleading our people. Because a country is like a human body. This human body has got many systems which must work in the way God designed them. Breathing, you breathe. There is a whole system, how you breathe. Blood circulation, there is a whole system of how the blood circulates. Seeing, there is a whole system how you see. Hearing, there is a whole system of how you hear. Each system is separate but coordinated by the command post, the brain. Eating, the whole system. Diverse, specialized, but coordinated. Now you cannot say that because I want to eat, I put the food in the ear. I put food in the ear that I want to put food in the ear. Or in the nose. No, the nose is not for food. Sometimes when you are in the hospital in a bad situation, they can pass for sometimes some of the food through the nose. But you can't stay like that for long. Food must be through the mouth and the throat and the stomach. The nose is for breathing. The ears are for hearing. This is how the country is. The road is for vehicles, and the sidewalks are for passengers. Can't you see that? The road is for vehicles and motorcycles. The sidewalks are for passengers. The market, if you want to sell, you sell in a shop or a market or a supermarket. But you now say, no, I want to sell on the roadside. Really, this is not for that. This is for walking. Then you get people supporting that they are politicians. Really sickening. The swamp is for water. Swamp is for water. It is not for Amayuni, not for Rumonde, not for Markwang, no. It is for water. It's for water. And that swamp is a savior. We are here, we have been here for 4.5 million years. And these things came recently, the permanent buildings, vehicles. What was sustaining us were our swamps and our forests. Even when our level of science was very low, not so much, the swamps and the forests kept us here, and the grass. Now you want to destroy that, and you say you are a Ugandan? No. What are you looking for in the swamp? Swamp is for water. When the Chinese came, they misled some of our people to grow rice in swamps. This was see how the swamp should look like. That's a real swamp. Papyrus, water, that's how it looks like. The way God created it. And we can use it like that. So therefore, this standing upside down, wanting to eat through the ear, through the nose, not through the mouth. You put food in your eye that you are eating. This is suicide. Even this Ebola you are talking about, why didn't we have Ebola in the past? I had never heard of Ebola. We had other diseases, but we have never had, historically, I've never had, except recently. And I think it is because people are invading the habitats, part of the problem, the habitats of these animals in the forest. Show them the picture of Nabanja, how Nabanja was saving Bugoma forest. They showed it a bit here. See how criminal these people are, the ones you are defending. Bugoma forest. They were showing it here, to put it back again. You see how, see how, what damage they have done. That is, you see these criminals now. Look at the trees they are destroying. These are the people you are defending. What good are these? Whose interests are they serving? These are enemies of Uganda. But I will get time and write something on that. So for now, please let all the political leaders take the lead in getting our 33% of the people who are outside the money economy to join the money economy, do so with the Chibaro, then we did with the others, very additional and so on, like the minister was saying. I thank you and I wish you good luck.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for the successful delivery of the budget speech for the financial year 2026-2027. On behalf of Parliament, I pledge our commitment to effectively apply our mandate to realize all your progressive intentions for our beloved country and its gallant citizens.
Adjournment.
I once again want to thank you, Your Excellency, and all dignitaries for gracing this year's budget speech. I pray, may God bless you all. May God bless Uganda. Honorable members, the House is adjourned to Tuesday, 30th June 2026.
The anthems.